Hi, I'm Amanda from Life Unravelled, and we're here to unravel life's little mysteries. In this unit we're talking about arts and craft and toys. Paper construction. Now, paper construction is great for maths, it's great for spatial awareness, it uses their fine motor and their gross motor. Origami is one of those things that people sort of look at and say, oh, it's too hard, but we're not just talking about origami. We're talking about getting paper plates and sticking on some fins and painting it and making it a fish, or maybe making octopuses out of a round piece of paper and then make some long strips to make your legs. Pinterest and YouTube have some really good little ideas, and I've got a pamphlet that comes in the last one of these courses that just gives you some ideas on construction and what you can do. Using old egg cartons to make caterpillars and using pipe cleaners. So you need quite a few different materials to do this, but oh, it's so much fun. And the kids love gluing and cutting and painting, and you can even make birthday cards for people or invitations to concerts that the kids have made up. If they've, for instance, made a puppet play and they want to show daddy or show the grandparents when they come over. So get them to make invitations, and they can invite the people to the concert and tell them what time it is, and then they can do their puppet play. And even getting them to make the cakes that you can sell to the people who are coming to the play, like the grandparents or the aunts and uncles or cousins. And doing that whole process, it takes time out of your day, but it's so much fun, and they learn so much about the construction is really worth the mess. It's so good for them, and it helps them with their fine motor and their gross motor. And the skill of cutting out shapes is a really tricky thing to do. Even drawing, making sure you're holding the pencil with the triangle is one of those skills that needs a lot of repetition at this age. And the more repetition they do, the better they get at it. And then when they get to school, they can look at the social interactions and worry about those instead of worrying about how to actually cut along a line, whether it's a straight line or a curved line. So doing these crafts really helps them get those skills ready for school. Again, you can find so many different ideas about construction and paper from Pinterest, from YouTube, and just by Googling. Now, wool and material, again, it helps all that maths and spatial awareness, that gross motor and fine motor. It also helps with their self-esteem. Really at this age, at 4, they need a lot of help if they're going to be doing things like this. Making quilts. They can design the quilt, and they can sit there with you and you can sew together, or even maybe get a grandparent to help you or an auntie to sit down with them and do the sewing. Now, the adult will have to do a lot of the sewing, but it's a really good skill for the kids to learn how the whole process works. And it's more about understanding that process rather than understanding and them actually physically doing the whole thing. You can also look at doing sewing for little bags. You can make pom-poms, you can do decoupage and collages, and using those different materials to make, for instance, a poster or a picture to go on the wall. And you can decorate their bedroom with a lot of their artwork that they do. Sometimes you might think that a 4-year-old is too young to knit, but my mum always talks about she used to sit by the fire at 4 years of age and knit and knit and knit, because her auntie and her mum used to of an evening sit and knit and have a chat and debrief about the day. And so at 4 she was actually knitting, and I've seen lots of 4-year-olds do this. So it is a skill that you can learn, but it just takes a little bit of time, a little bit of patience, and just some encouragement from you. Wool craft is so much fun to do. I love it. You can make pom-poms and make animals. You can make all sorts of different key rings and little dangly things for babies to look at. There are a lot of different crafts you can do with wool. So again, those places that you can look at are Pinterest and YouTube, Google. They're the best places. They give you so many. There's quite a few Facebook pages that give you craft ideas every week. Play-Doh and clay are really important for the children's strength in their fingers. It's really the only thing that kids sort of do consistently and play with consistently to really build up those muscles in the fingers and in the hands. And those muscles are needed to be able to do those fine motor movements such as cutting and using your knife and fork, as well as using your pencil. So the more that you can give them Play-Doh and the more that they can manipulate and really put that detail into the clay and to the Play-Doh, then the easier it is for them in their drawing to be able to put more detail in their drawing as well. It really sort of is a great fun way for them to get really textile. They love the feeling of the Play-Doh through their fingers, and it's sort of like a little bit of mud. They love mud through their fingers and playing with those different textures. Now, modelling clay is a little bit different to Play-Doh. It is a little bit harder and there's a lot more colours. Now, I make my own Play-Doh, but the modelling clay really can make these beautiful little figurines, and you can get it from the $2 shop. They have lots of modelling clay there. Also from Kmart and Big W. The art shops often have Play-Doh and clay. You're better to get the Play-Doh, make it yourself. You can just make it on the stove. I've got a recipe for you on the handouts, so you can always look at the handout for the Play-Doh. But for the clay, it's something that you need to purchase from one of the art shops or from the $2 shops or Kmart. Now here is a recipe for Play-Doh. I've just put it up quickly here, but the download is in the last lesson, so you can always just go and grab it from there. Now you're sort of thinking, well, I'd really love to do all this stuff, but what do I actually need? Well, here is a list of the most things that you'll need. Pretty much anything that you need is listed here. One of the best ways to keep it is away in a drawer or on shelves, so that the kids aren't sort of using it unnecessarily. They're using it for a reason. So they're not just sticking bits of paper or bits of wool all over paper for no reason, but it's a more structured thing. It's great for them to be creative, but it's even better for them to produce these works of art that they're proud of. Now, I've seen so many different ways of keeping all of their little bits and pieces that you need for the kids. Here are a couple of ideas. Jars from your cooking, like from pasta jars. You can use those, put them on a shelf and just put beads in them and buttons and all the different things that you might be using. It's a great idea to keep the poster paints up high and away from their reach, although I know some kids climb and they can climb up shelving, so you need to be careful about that. And that's why I often suggest that you put it away so that they can't be seen, and then just bring it out for when you want to use it. And to make an area that you can actually do this sort of stuff in is a great way of keeping the mess contained, and that's what you need to do to make your life a lot easier. You're more inclined to do it with the kids if it's contained in an area, or if you have an area where you can leave things to dry and it's not in your general living area. I had a great area outside on the patio, and I kept all the stuff in a cupboard. I just had one of the cupboards sitting on the patio, and I stacked everything in there. It was great if they wanted to get glue or scissors or hole punch or anything like that. They could actually just go to the cupboard, they'd open it up, they'd get what they needed, and it was done in a little table. I set up a children's table outside. It meant that I could leave their things there. I had an easel where they could put their paper up on and do their painting, and then they could put it on the table to dry. And this way I found, because it was outside, it was on the deck, if there was any mess it was just hosed down. And it also meant that there was no really good furniture nearby. There was nothing that really mattered if it got ruined, and that made my life much, much less stressful. So it's all about making your life less stressful, but enabling them to do these things and to explore their creativity and to explore all sorts of different avenues of their art and craft. The more that you do art and craft with your child, you're helping them to have common experiences with you, and that builds meaningful relationships. At the age of 4 and 5, this is when you cement that relationship. And when they turn 14 and 15, they'll be thinking back on these years and the relationship that you've built with them then. If you have a great relationship and you can communicate at 4 and 5, then by the time they're 14 and 15, they will communicate with you and they'll want to talk to you. They'll want to do things with you like play games or do art together, or even just simply going to the art gallery and appreciating art together. And if you've done lots of art and craft and making things together, you'll find that they'll really enjoy those experiences to do with you. Always remember, do your best, and your best is good enough. You don't have to be that mum or dad that has everything for their kids and does everything with them. You only need to do a couple of things, and just doing the things with the kids will really make them appreciate you and will make your relationship with them really special. Remember to have fun. The more fun you have, the better it is for everyone. And give them time. Give them time to do what they want to do and what they need to do so that they can cope with their emotions. Have a great time. Enjoy 1 or 2 art activities a week at this age before they're going off to school, because once they're at school, you won't get anywhere near the time that you get this year. Thanks for watching. That's the end of our art and craft unit. We've got one more unit to go in this series, and that's all about kindy. So I look forward to seeing you next week. Bye. This video was produced by Imagination Pty Ltd for Life Unravelled. All advice and information given during this course is designed for general use only. If you have any concerns for your child, please seek professional advice as soon as possible. For terms and conditions, please see website www.lifeunravelled.com.au.